Imagine winning the most insane death game ever created, only to go right back and experience it all over again. That's precisely what our friend Gi-hyun is about to face. However, this time the other competitors are even more sinister, and the challenges are deadlier than anything he's encountered before. This gambler, Gi-hyun, is the sole survivor of a merciless death game organized by a secret society of wealthy elites. Winning granted him unimaginable wealth, but rather than accepting the money and moving forward with his life, he chose to seek revenge. That choice will ultimately prove to be his greatest mistake. Upon realizing that he's being monitored, he searches his body until he discovers a microchip concealed behind his left ear. After a swift surgery in a dingy restroom, he removes the chip to prevent them from tracking his whereabouts. At the same time, Detective Jun-ho regains consciousness in the hospital after being shot by his own brother, who had been orchestrating the games as the front man all along. 2 years pass as he attempts to convey what occurred on the island, but without any concrete evidence, no one in the department believes his account. He ultimately decides to keep his brother's involvement a secret. Do you remember the people Gi-hyun owed money to? It turns out they now work for him, and he has been using them to find the recruiter, hoping to trace them back to the games. One night, Gi-hyun decides they need to search more thoroughly and tells the boss to have his men check every train station in the city for a whole day. The next morning, he gathers all his workers and sends them out, promising a reward of 500 million won to whoever finds the man. While Gi-hyun waits on the roof of a parking garage, the criminals search every station, but despite their efforts, they still can't find their target by the end of the day. Gi-hyun is approaching the situation the wrong way. Seoul is South Korea's largest city, with over 25 million residents in the metropolitan area. With so much activity, finding one person among millions is nearly impossible. His lack of success demonstrates that this strategy won't work, and he needs to remember an important point. You don't find the Squid Game. The Squid Game finds you. This ties back to what Mr. Kim mentioned about how people who owe him money keep disappearing. Just when they're about to give up, Kim and his partner Woo-suk hear a loud slap echoing from the tunnel. They find the recruiter hitting some poor guy on the other side of the platform. Kim calls Gi-hyun and they rush over, instructing everyone to keep an eye on the man as he leaves the station. Oddly, he goes to a park carrying 2 bags filled with bread and lottery tickets, looking for anyone unfortunate enough to approach him and letting them choose between the two. Most pick the lottery ticket, but they all end up losing. After everyone has had their turn, he takes the leftover bread and starts smashing it in front of them, doing this to show that they all made the wrong choice. Gi-hyun misses his chance when he gets pulled over for speeding by Jun-ho and his partner, but the criminals still track the man to a hidden alley. They chase him around a corner, but as soon as they're out of sight, he easily takes them both down with his briefcase. When they finally regain consciousness, they realize he has taken them hostage. Playing a record, he informs them that they will play a version of rock, paper, scissors, but with a twist. The loser of each round has to play Russian roulette next. Refusing to play dead means automatic disqualification, but the game doesn't end until one of them is dead. Holding the weapon between them, he tells the criminals to start the game. It goes back and forth with neither side winning, so to quicken the pace, the recruiter loads 4 more rounds into the gun. Suddenly, Woo-suk makes a mistake, letting Kim win regardless of the outcome. However, the boss chooses not to play, intentionally deciding to lose so his friend can survive. This guy is seriously messed up, and Woo-suk would have been killed if his boss hadn't let him win. It's tough to think clearly when you wake up tied to a chair, knowing your life depends on a game of rock, paper, scissors. When Gi-hyun arrives home, he discovers the recruiter already waiting for him. The man forces him to play Russian roulette, but Gi-hyun bravely accepts the challenge, even though he could easily cheat and kill the recruiter. The game goes all the way to the final chamber, and at this point, the recruiter realizes he is going to die. However, instead of cheating, he sticks to the rules and loses. Meanwhile, Jun-ho tracks the criminals back to the hotel and finds one of them tied up in a room, where he reveals Gi-hyun's location. Upon discovering the crime scene, Jun-ho attempts to arrest the man, but they quickly overpower him and take him hostage instead. That's when Gi-hyun discovers a business card in the recruiter's pocket with just an address and a date, which leads him to a club in the city on Halloween night. When Jun-ho finally regains consciousness, he shares that they met on the island while he was searching for his brother, and they agree to team up to stop the games. Back at his apartment, Gi-hyun reveals the large stash of cash and weapons he has been accumulating, but now they need a team to help use it. As part of their plan, they hire a dentist to remove one of Gi-hyun's teeth and replace it with a hidden transmitter to track his location. The criminal uses his contacts to assemble a team of ex-military specialists willing to do whatever it takes for payment. There is only one night left before they act on the club, but only Gi-hyun and Woo-suk can go inside without risking their cover, while the others will wait outside as backup. He's concerned that things might go wrong, but the criminal reassures him that everything is under control, not realizing they're walking into a trap. On Halloween night, Gi-hyun and his team arrive outside the club, which is crowded with people in costumes, realizing the frontman likely chose this night to blend in. As they head inside, Gi-hyun and Woo-suk make their way across the dance floor while Jun-ho keeps watch. That's when he notices a group of pink guards heading their way. The detective rushes after them, but before he can reach them, one guard knocks out Woo-suk with a taser, while another quietly approaches Gi-hyun and leads him away without saying anything. Gi-hyun is about to put himself in a dangerous situation for no reason, and after getting this far, they don't want to miss this opportunity since it might be their last chance. Now, Gi-hyun's team knows that the frontman will be at the club based on what the recruiter told him, but they can't reveal their presence until they visually confirm he's there. The masked figure leads him to a back alley where they get into a white limo. He's getting closer to the frontman, but he won't meet him in person yet. Instead, the frontman confronts Gi-hyun through a golden piggy bank, reminding him that everyone who died in the game was there by choice. Gi-hyun believes that exploiting vulnerable people is morally wrong, and he will do whatever it takes to stop them for good. Suddenly, a sniper shoots out the tires of their vans, leaving Gi-hyun stranded without any help. Realizing he's trapped, Gi-hyun concludes he has only one option left. If he can't bring down the games from the outside, he will do it from the inside, so he volunteers to go back in. After a brief hesitation, the frontman finally agrees and fills the back of the car with gas to knock him out. Once Gi-hyun is unconscious, the frontman rolls down the window, revealing that he was there all along. This is exactly why Gi-hyun had the tracker placed in his tooth. Getting caught was always part of his backup plan. When he wakes up, he finds himself back in the same bunk where it all began. And they even assigned him the same number, player 456. As the other contestants start moving around, the guards enter and announce that it's time for the games to begin. Over the next 6 days, they will be completely isolated from the outside world as they compete in a series of challenges. And just like before, the winners will receive a cash prize that could change their lives forever. What they don't realize yet is that these games are about to become deadly. The lights dim as a giant piggy bank descends from the ceiling, which will eventually contain 45.6 billion won. But this time, the rules have changed. After each challenge, they'll have the option to vote to leave the games early and share the prize money they've accumulated so far. The last to sign up is Gi-hyun, hoping to use his knowledge to help the others survive the first round. On their way to the first challenge, he unexpectedly runs into his old friend Young Bae, who is upset that Gi-hyun has been ignoring him for the last 3 years. Young Bae has been through a tough time, including a divorce and losing custody of his child, but Gi-hyun warns him to follow his lead because things are about to get much worse. Now it's time for the first challenge, and everyone knows they're kicking things off with a classic game of red light, green light. As the players step onto the field, Gi-hyun realizes his friends should have joined him by now, and he makes a shocking discovery. Reaching into his mouth, he pulls out the fake tooth and finds that the locator is missing. The organizers found it and planted it on a random fisherman back at the docks, meaning no one is coming to rescue him now. Before the game starts, Gi-hyun rushes to the front of the crowd to warn everyone that being eliminated means you will be shot, but they clearly don't believe him. The first rounds go by without any deaths, but everything changes when a bee lands on a girl's neck. When she attempts to swat it away, she gets shot in the head, and everyone realizes that Gi-hyun was telling the truth. Panic ensues as more players are mowed down until only those who stayed completely still remain. Now that they believe him, Gi-hyun devises a strategy to have the shortest players line up behind the tallest, so the doll can't see them. Everyone works together except for a purple-haired rapper named Thanos, who starts pushing people over to get them eliminated. Thanks to Gi-hyun's leadership, most of the survivors cross the finish line with plenty of time left. However, for some reason, a player known as 444 gets shot in the leg. Seeing that he's still alive, Gi-hyun rushes over to save him just as time is about to run out. However, the soldier, No Yul, finishes him off with a shot to the head, since he technically lost the game. Back inside, the guards announce that 91 players have been eliminated, leaving 365 remaining. So far, the total prize money is 9.1 billion won, which means each player would get 25 million if they decide to split it. Now it's time for them to vote, and Gi-hyun tries to persuade everyone to quit, but they want to use his knowledge to help them win. Many players are not satisfied with the prize yet, and in the end, it comes down to one last vote, with the final player deciding to stay for another round. After getting their food for the night, a few players gather around Gi-hyun to ask what's next. He explains that he thinks it will be Dalgona, a game where they need to carve out a shape from a honeycomb without breaking it, advising them to choose the triangle as it's the easiest option. One old man suggests that they should keep it a secret to eliminate more players, but Gi-hyun insists they should help everyone survive. However, Gi-hyun fails to see an important detail. Some players won't vote to leave until they have enough money to pay off their debts, and they actually want more players to be eliminated because that means more cash for them. That night, a man apologizes to Gi-hyun for voting to stay in the game, sharing a made-up story about needing money for his pregnant wife. Gi-hyun is unaware of the truth because they have never met in person and doesn't realize he's actually talking to the frontman. The next morning, the music begins again as they announce the second challenge, and Gi-hyun's friend reminds him that everyone is counting on his guidance. The problem is, they quickly discover that this game is entirely different, and even Gi-hyun has no idea what will happen next, leading some players to start turning against him. They are given 10 minutes to form groups of 5, and Gi-hyun quickly teams up with other players. 001, his friend 390, ex-Marine 388, and Jun-hee, the pregnant wife of the crypto bro. Meanwhile, the others also form their teams, and a group of the weaker players, who weren't chosen by anyone, eventually comes together, meaning it's officially time for the game to begin. In this round, all 5 players will have their legs tied together while they race around a circular track, but it's not that straightforward. At 5 different points, they must complete individual mini-games before they can continue, and if they don't cross the finish line before the timer runs out, the entire team will die. They need to decide who will handle each minigame before the race begins. After discussing, the team settles on their strategy, with player 388 taking on Gongji because he has 4 older sisters who taught him, and Gi-hyun taking the anchor position with JG. The first 2 teams start on the track, and things begin well when player 16 wins Takji on the first try. However, it quickly goes downhill when player 198 fails to hit his stone. Meanwhile, the others get stuck on challenges 3 and 4, giving Gi-hyun's team time to practice their games. Eventually, a player makes a hit, but it doesn't count because he was over the line, and he gets so nervous that he accidentally urinates, realizing they are in serious trouble. In the end, neither team manages to complete the circle in time, and all 10 players are shot down as soon as the timer hits 0. After that, it's time for player 120's team to take their turn, and they nervously approach the starting line. They begin poorly, struggling to get past Takchi, but the woman eventually figures it out, allowing them to move on. At the next stage, player 007 misses his first throw for the flying stone, but they succeed on the second attempt. When they reach Gongji, the older woman completes it on her 3rd try, leaving them with 2 challenges left and only 2 minutes remaining. Suddenly, player 44 starts freaking out because she can't get past her game. Player 120 slaps her to get her focused and forces her to lock in. Ensuring no one is watching, she helps the team through the final challenge just in time, and everyone celebrates as the first 2 teams to survive the race. The other groups start their turns 2 at a time, and Thanos' team also makes it through alive, but not everyone is so fortunate. The surviving teams are taken out of the arena after each round until finally, it is just Gi-hyun's crew and another group of NPCs left. They start strong, quickly getting through the first 2 challenges without any issues, and when it comes to Gongji, the Marine completes it faster than anyone else in the game so far. Now it's 001's turn to play spinning top, but things start to go wrong. No matter how hard he tries, he can't seem to get it right, wasting valuable time with each mistake. He struggles even more with every bad throw, and it looks like he might get them all killed, but he finally completes it with just a few seconds to spare. In the final challenge, he helps Gi-hyun make the last kick, and they cross the finish line just in time, only to see the other team get eliminated right in front of them. After the game, the guards announce the latest results. A total of 110 more players have been knocked out, leaving 255 still alive with a potential payout of $79 million each if they decide to quit. It's time for another vote, and everyone has different opinions. But it feels much more personal now that nearly half of them are gone. Gi-hyun promises to help his friends pay off their debts if they make it out, but they all vote to end the games. In the end, the yes votes far outweigh the no votes. So it seems they will be staying after all. The next morning, the players wake up and head to the game hall for their third challenge. This time, they enter a large chamber with a massive carousel in the center, and the host announces they will be playing a game called Mingle. As the platform spins, a voice will call out a random number, giving them 30 seconds to form a matching group and reach one of the doors before they're eliminated. The platform starts spinning as a silly children's song plays in the background, but suddenly it stops with the voice calling out 10 players. With 30 seconds on the clock, Ji-hyun's team grabs the crazy lady and barely survives the first round, but it's only going to get worse from there. Outside, anyone who doesn't make it is brutally shot, and this time No-yeol doesn't interfere with the other guards, fearing they'll kill her if she tries to stop them again. As the rounds continue, more players are eliminated and friends begin to turn on each other to survive. The old woman nearly gets killed when her own son abandons her during a round that requires 3 players, but Ji-hyun and 001 manage to save her in time. In the next round, player 95 trips before reaching the door, and the crypto bro Myung-gi takes her spot at the last moment. Player 120 is furious at him for causing her death, but he argues that she wasn't going to make it anyway, so he technically saved their lives, and the others reluctantly agree. The final round requires just 2 players in each room, and 001 finds a spot with Ji-hyun's friend Myung-bae, but another player gets there first. Without hesitation, player 1 snaps the guy's neck and takes the room for the 2 of them, knowing it's the only way they can possibly survive. Back at the bunks, the crypto guy talks to his ex-girlfriend, wanting to rekindle their relationship. He believes everyone will vote to end the game now that they've earned enough money, but another player notices his plan and decides to use it against him. Myung-bae returns and says there are still more O's than X's, but they only need to persuade 5 more players to vote no in order to go home. Then, the guards announce that the prize is now 356 million won for each person, but during the voting, they won't allow anyone to sway others' choices. It's a tight race, and in the end, the yes votes narrowly lead the no votes by 2, with only player 001 left to vote. When he steps up and votes no, it ties the count, meaning they will have to vote again, but the guards announce they'll have to wait until morning. After dinner, the group discusses their strategy, trying hard to figure out how to win the next vote. Tensions rise almost into a fight when player 226 starts talking back. When Ji-hyun opens his meal, he realizes they've been given forks that could easily be used as weapons if needed. Meanwhile, Thanos finds player 125 hiding in a bathroom stall and threatens to kill him if he doesn't change his vote. Just then, the crypto guy jumps in to help. A huge fight breaks out, but Thanos quickly takes the kid down and starts hitting him. When it seems the kid is finished, he pulls out a fork and stabs Thanos twice in the neck, causing him to bleed to death while the kid hides in an empty stall. When the survivors return to the room, they each accuse the other side of starting the fight, but no one can prove what really happened. After counting heads, the X's see they outnumber the O's by 1. However, Ji-hyun knows that could be dangerous. Once the others leave, he warns his small group that violence is coming because they will try to eliminate their competition before the next vote. While others want to attack first, Ji-hyun suggests a different approach. He wants to let both sides fight each other, and when the guards come to stop it, they'll grab the guards' guns to take control. Just in time, Ji-hyun's group hides under their beds. As soon as things go quiet, the other team sneaks in and starts brutally killing everyone on the O's side. The room erupts into chaos, with many deaths before the guards finally intervene. While they are busy checking the bodies, that's when Ji-hyun sets his plan into motion. Suddenly, Ji-hyun's team springs into action, surprising the guards and taking their weapons, allowing them to open fire. They manage to kill most of the guards and force the rest to retreat, But this is just the first part of Ji-hyun's plan. He tells the others that they are going after those in charge and invites anyone who wants to join them to step forward. A few more players join in, and they begin making their way deeper into the facility. They encounter a big shootout with more guards on the stairs, but the players hold their own. Ji-hyun grabs a mask from a dead guard, takes Young-bae with him, and heads for the control room, leaving the rest to fend off more guards. They use the mask to access a secret door, but another group of soldiers blocks their path. Player 1 calls for backup and sends Marine Dae-ho to get more ammo. Dae-ho gathers supplies but freezes in fear when he needs to return to the fight. Meanwhile, Player 1 pretends to flank the team. But when his teammates lower their guard, he shoots them in the back, forcing Ji-hyun to surrender when he runs out of ammo. Putting the mask back on, Player 1 kills Young-bae as punishment for his earlier actions. Ji-hyun screams in horror as his only friend dies right in front of him. And that's the end of Squid Game Season 2. See you on the next one!